We're going to dive into the Kings-Clippers game from last night. He's James. I'm Kyle. Joe Brazil pushing buttons, sliding sliders, recording sound, doing so much for this program. We appreciate Joe very much. We also appreciate our sponsor, Jiffy Lube, and we appreciate all of you listening on 1320 AM on the radio. Maybe you're listening on the free Odyssey app. Maybe you're watching on YouTube or Twitch, youtube.com/ESPN1320, twitch.tv/ESPN1320, or maybe you're a podcast listener listening to the James Hammond, Kyle Madsen Show, available wherever you get your podcast. We appreciate you all. I want to get to Kings Clippers for sure. That was a brutal loss for the Kings last night. But just real quick, just very, very quickly, we're going to do some NFL today too. It's 10:01 a.m. Pacific time. The legal negotiating window for the NFL has been open for 1 hour and 1 minute. If your favorite NFL team has not made a move yet, that is not grounds to freak out. That means they're not paying top dollar for players that the teams that they were on are letting them walk.
Like the Kinlaw 2-year, $30 million deal.
3 years and $45 million for Javon Kinlaw?
Oh my goodness.
With $30 million guaranteed? I swear to God, I think they thought they were signing Javon Hargrave.
Yeah,
they had to be what happened.
Just made a mistake there.
Insane. But anyways, I've been obviously, prepping the show. We're on Twitter, currently X, a lot, and just the freak out of like, wow, 49ers, clearly Jed York's running the show again, not signing anybody. They never sign anybody at this point in free agency. You're not going to go spend top of market money. They have a lot of good players already. You're going to wait for the deals to start to come down and then try and bargain bin shop. That's how they do this. Anyways, it's very frustrating. You know what else is I'll get to what else I'm frustrated about later.
All right. You don't want to just put it all out there now?
No. We got to get to the Kings game. I want to whine about the employee appreciation brunch that's happening during our show.
Oh.
We'll get to it. Clippers 111, Kings 110 in overtime. So, this is a little bit semantic-y, but somebody in the chatty house called it a bad loss last night. And you said it wasn't a bad loss, it's a loss. I think I'm with you on that. But on the other hand, you can't keep dropping games that you have available to win.
Of course.
This is like we're not in December anymore. Where you can just go like, oh yeah, you dropped that one. Like, bro, all of these games matter. When you play the Clippers, you have to win that game. You're 97-90 with a minute and a half left. You have to win that game. I get like, again, there's two branches to this because you have to win. There's the black and white of like win versus loss.
Yes.
And you had an opportunity to win that game. But I also understand that, man, if Kawhi Leonard's shot at the end of OT bounces the other direction, we're here talking about like, man, Keegan Murray was awesome last night. How about DeMar DeRozan? Like, the conversation is very different. So I understand all that, but like, dude, at some point you have to close these games out. The Nuggets game was there for the taking. The Clippers game was there for the taking. And when you're not beating these teams, that you can't afford to lose that many of these anymore. And that's why it's particularly rough last night.
Yeah, I mean, I think what we talked about earlier in the week was the moral victory of hanging tough with a really good team in the Denver Nuggets. Last night, again, there is no moral victory to losing a game like that.
Mm-hmm.
But that's just an NBA loss. It's two teams that are like equal in the standings, super close to each other in the standings. One team's missing two of their star players. The other team's missing their leading scorer. Like, you go all the way down to the wire. You get a bad call late in the game that changes the complexity of the final, minute of the contest. And in the end, you lose on a bounce from a Hall of Fame player. And so, like, I want to make more of it, but for me, the sky isn't falling. I know that the Kings, they are who they are. They're a 500 team, maybe a little bit better. And that's it. And you're going to win some of these games and you're going to lose some of these games. And they're 3-4 in overtime games this season. That's what they feel like. They feel like a team that's right there. Just, they're not complete and you're grasping at straws some nights. I just thought it was a really, really tough fought game and you came down to the wire and you lost.
The Kings now a game and a half back of the Clippers for the 8th seed, and they've lost the season series to the Clippers. The Clippers now 3-0.
Yeah.
Against Sacramento this season, which makes the uphill climb that much more uphill because now you have to like pass them.
Oh yeah. I mean, as far as the standings, it's a devastating loss.
So I get the and I thought you said a Hall of Fame player made a Hall of Fame play, talking about Kawhi Leonard, and I think that's right. Like, I think the Kings did everything right defensively there.
Yeah, he bullied his way to 6 feet from the basket and hit a jump shot over 3 guys, and it bounced twice and then fell through.
So that's why this is not my issue is less what happened in overtime, because you lost overtime by a point. Like,
yeah.
All right. You went ahead 97-90.
Mm-hmm.
Here are the possessions after going ahead 97-90. Kawhi gets an and one to make it 97-93. Give me 1 second. I had the play-by-play up here. Kawhi Leonard hits a and one to make it 97-93.
Mm-hmm.
Jonas Valanciunas whistled for an offensive foul. Okay, that happens. All right. You're not gonna freak out about that. And there's a minute 48 left, not 90 seconds. Minute 48 left. Zubats gets a dunk. Now it's 97-95, and 28 seconds have passed. Your 7-point lead is down to 2 in 28 seconds. That's a shot clock plus 4 seconds.
Mm-hmm.
DeMar DeRozan missed 3.
That 3 was, if I'm not mistaken, that's one where he walked up and there was tons of time left on the clock and he just hoisted.
Yes.
Yeah.
I don't understand. Like, I know he's shooting it better from 3 this year, but DeMar DeRozan 3-pointers are not what I'm working for in this spot of the game.
Yeah.
It can't happen. Amir Coffey then missed a 3. DeMar DeRozan missed 3 on the other end. James Harden hits the game-tying jumper. Zach LaVine misses the 18-footer. We're going to OT. Like, that's where it's down the stretch of these games. I don't love the way they're executing offensively. And I thought that was the case against Denver. I thought that was the case against the Clippers. And I get what you're like. We talked about Western Conference tiers last week. Mm-hmm. Denver is 2 tiers ahead of the Kings in my mind, and the Clippers and Kings are on the same level. And so this is not a the world is ending. Oh my God. Everything they've done for the last 2 weeks, or everything they've done post All-Star break, or everything they've done post Doug is fake. No, it's not that. But when you take in the gravity of playing the Clippers, you take in the gravity of being up 7 with 108 seconds left and not being able to put another game away, it's like, God, it's really frustrating. It's really, really frustrating.
No, I get that. And like, to be honest with you, like, when we get to the end of the season, we're going to look at losses like this that are so close, but this isn't one that you just look at and say, man, like, I know they had a lead, but leads in the NBA evaporate quickly. And sure, it's in the finals. There were some egregious plays that I again, the Jonas Valanciunas moving screen, just legitimate moving screen.
Yep.
Just walked right through it. Yep. Now, part of it was because I believe it was Keegan Murray that had the ball. He didn't wait for Valanciunas to get in position. He went too early.
Sure.
And that's a problem with, communication. It's a problem with players not being on the court together for very long and all that stuff. But at the same time, mistakes were made. The hoisting of the 3 by DeMar DeRozan after, just walking into an early 3, that just wasn't the time. Like, if I'm going to kill Buddy Hield for taking a 30-foot 3 when you're up 6 with, 49 seconds left or whatever, and there's 20 seconds on the shot clock, then you have to do the same thing with DeMar DeRozan. That didn't make any sense. And, at the end of the day, that's one of those plays that hurt you. Then we get to this weird challenge of the 3-point shot. And because that's the other 3 that's in the final seconds there.
Yeah.
That was a clear foul. And they called it a foul on the court. He didn't give him proper landing space. He swiped by his legs. He hit his arm. And they call incidental contact on something that has never been called that way.
I have given up on this. I have no idea. And again, that was a insane overturn. But
yeah,
just the macro of this, I don't know what they don't. It's like a catch in the NFL. It's like, couldn't tell you. I have no idea what the legal definition of a catch is, because every time I think I know, a play happens where I'm dead wrong. And I've seen this so many times around the league this year where, like, you can high-five the 3-point shooter, or you can't, or it's incidental contact, or it's not. It's like, what incidental? What's the definition of that? because that, to me, incidental contact is like it didn't affect the shot, right? It didn't affect anything.
Mm-hmm.
But like he got him below the wrist to the point where he couldn't finish his follow through.
He got him on the forearm.
Yeah, he
like,
didn't.
and he hit his body.
I don't. So that's where
Yeah.
I would not have overturned that. When they challenged it, I was like, oh, okay. I guess they're just challenging to take a timeout and burn a challenge. But I don't know. I'm done trying to understand what's incidental contact, when you can high five a 3-point shooter, when you can't.
Yeah, and for me, like,
It's
look,
insane.
I'm not going to put the loss all on the officials. Again, you had every opportunity. You made errors down the stretch outside of that that were legitimate foul calls. I'm not going to put it all on the officials, but like, call it the way it's supposed to be called, and you did, and then you overturn it on some, like, you can't even nonsensical like explanation.
It doesn't make any sense to
And
me.
so again, I mean, that one hurts, especially with DeRozan at that point. I think he's 11 of 11 from the free throw line. Like, there's a good chance he's hitting those free throws, and you're back up 5 with 1:05 left. Now, again, that doesn't mean that the Clippers wouldn't have still won the game, that they still wouldn't have got to overtime or anything else. We don't know how the game would change from there, but it definitely hurt the Kings' chances to avoid overtime and to win the game in regulation.
Oh, for sure. For sure. The other thing that I'm hoping you can help me with.
Okay.
Why are Keon Ellis and Jake LaRavia splitting minutes in overtime?
Well, in this specific game, I saw the reason.
Okay.
The reason was that Jake LaRavia was doing a very, very good job on James Harden, and Keon wasn't. He got bullied to the rim.
Yeah, James Harden is a big man.
He's a huge dude.
Yeah.
Right. And so it makes it really difficult for a guy like Keon, who, like 165, like soaking wet.
Yeah.
Anyway, I thought what Doug was trying to do there is he was trying to match up their two best players with two defenders of equal size. And so he was using LaRavia on Harden, and he was using Keegan on Kawhi. And to be honest with you, I thought, like, Keegan Murray may have played his best defensive game I've ever seen.
Outstanding.
He was off the charts incredible against Kawhi Leonard.
Yep.
And I was really surprised.
Harden.
Yeah, I was really surprised they went to Kawhi Leonard on the final play, because James Harden had just like bullied his way right to the basket, like again and again and again, to get that win. And I thought that even the defense on that final play was spectacular.
I did too.
Yeah. So I think that's why LaRavia played, was to match up with the size, because you're not going to put, Keon Ellis on Kawhi Leonard. That's just not going to happen.
Yeah. It's
so
going to go poorly.
It just really came down to like being overpowered. And I thought LaRavia did a great defensive job as well. He was chaotic. He was all over the place. He had 3 steals. He played within his own game. He had 3 of 5 shooting. Like, he got a couple of rebounds. He flew in for like some contests and some stuff that you're like, okay.
I'm a big Jake LaRavia guy, man.
Yeah.
I don't know that, and like you said, maybe it's very specifically matchup based because of the 2 primary ball handlers for the Clippers.
Yeah.
But I like Jake LaRavia very much. I said it the day after he got acquired. I said on this show, I think it's one of the best acquisitions Monty McNair's made. I don't know that I want him in closing lineups with any level of consistency.
I was confused when they had him in the closing lineup on the offensive end, because they were doing offense, defense. I was a little bit surprised by that, but again, he had played really well, and maybe what you're trying to do there is get the crazy rebound. He was flying in for rebounds and stuff like that. I also, to be honest with you, I think we're going to see that same exact thing tonight, because when you go up against a Knicks team that has OG Anunoby and Mikal Bridges at the 4 and the 3 and the 4, you're going to need length and athleticism again. And so I would not doubt that we see a ton of Jake LaRavia against that type of player.
Yeah, Jake LaRavia, 31 minutes last night. Keon, 31 minutes, 42 for Jonas Valanciunas, and then 44 plus for Keegan DeMar and Zach LaVine.
Yeah, lots of minutes
on the front end of a back-to-back. All right. We got more from this game. We got more from around the NBA. Well, NFL news just keeps flying in. Started yesterday, hasn't really stopped. Faucet hasn't been shut off on NFL news. We'll keep you up to date on everything that's happening there. And then you mentioned Keegan Murray. I want to talk more about Keegan. I thought he was awesome last night. I don't want to get into that. Plus, we're going to give stuff away. Plenty to come up over the next couple of hours. He's James Ham. I'm Kyle Madsen. Joe Brazil is pushing buttons. We're sponsored by Jiffy Lube, and we're on ESPN 1320. It is Sacramento's Sports Leader.
He yells at you?
What does he say? Oh yeah, no. Keep doing what you're doing on that.
That's weird.
That's it. All right, good luck. You're doing great.
Weird. Did we get the X thing figured out yet?
We haven't talked about the A's Las Vegas patch.
Oh. Hey,
So
the Twitter live button just worked finally.
Hey.
Yes. Yeah, Boombox Benny, that's a good point. It is a 7:30 game tonight.
Ooh. Yeah, we'll have some fun with it. Yeah. No, don't do that. That's fine. Yeah, we're good. Great. Can't wait. I'm going to be honest. I don't see it with Markelle Fultz.
Yeah, like I had some concerns with Markelle Fultz after just basic interview stuff. I've been doing this for a while, and you get vibes.
Is it the same person? Huh.
Why?
We'll have fun with it. It's fine. We're not. It's not that serious of a radio program, so.
Wow, Jalen Moore got 21.24 fully guaranteed.
It never fails, man. Whether the free agency class is great or weak, people are spending.
Yep. They do in the NBA as well. They just do stupid stuff all the time.
It's like, all right, we have money to spend and we need this position. Let's give Jalen Moore $30 million.
Timothy Mozgov.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the other one was Jim McIlvain.
Was it there? Was it the 2017 offseason? 2016? Was that the year Mozgov got the big contract?
Something like that.
There's a couple years there where, man, it was just out of control.
Oh, no, that's
Now, back to the Insiders with James Ham and Kyle Madsen, brought to you by Jiffy Lube on ESPN 1320.
The Oak Grove Kia Talk Line, 916-909-1320. That's okay. The Oak Grove Kia Talk Line is 916-909-1320, 916-909-1320 if you'd like to join the program. We're talking Kings loss to the Los Angeles Clippers last night. I'm having a hard time with it, man, because from the big picture perspective, it's another game where, you know what, Kings looked really good defensively. Like, I'm having a good time watching the Kings play defense.
Yeah.
You go to OT and like you said, Kawhi Leonard, who has made so many big shots in his career, made another one. And that's kind of what that comes down to. But from a zooming in perspective, it felt like another game they could have won, coming off a game in Denver that it felt like they could have won. And now you've fallen back in the standings. You're 2.5 back of the 6th seed now, when just a few days ago it was like, dude, you'll win tonight and you're in the 6th seed. It's not it's not like, oh wow, all their fundamental flaws were exposed last night. But in the vacuum of the 2024-2025 season, it was bad. You needed to get that one, and they didn't. And at some point, like, if we want to talk big picture, then okay, great. Like, last night was cool because they looked pretty good again, and they just couldn't pull out the win, whatever. But for this year, man, it's really hard to generate optimism after that one, at least for me.
Yeah, you're running out of games.
That's it. That's why if this had happened on December 4th, it's just like, man, what a game. Can't wait for these teams to match up again. Oh man. But instead it's like, dude, you've got how many games you got left?
19.
19 games left. You can't.
No, I get it. I get it. It wasn't a blowout though. It wasn't a 8-point, 10-point loss where you didn't show up, but you made a late run or something like that. I don't think that this was, I mean, in the grand scheme of things, it looks really bad on paper, but the game itself, that is a very, very highly competitive, good NBA game that you lost by a point. And, again, you do have to win more games than you lose. I get that. But I'm not hitting like a panic button over that game. Like, the panic button is that your schedule from here on out is just brutal. Yeah. And like, when you have a game like that where you have an opportunity, you have to win. I get that. But I also understand that, the Kings aren't going to win every game. And like, I just don't look at some games as like a failure as much as like that an NBA game.
But it's less like that was a failure because you're right. That came down to a bounce of the ball on the rim.
Yep.
And a wild ass call on a foul on a 3-pointer. But that game ultimately, last play of the game, came down to which way does the ball bounce? And if it bounces out, the conversation's very different today, but it's because they chalked up a W that they needed to get. And that they didn't, it makes all of the little things down the stretch, particularly the offensive execution or lack thereof, just like, man, it really makes it jump out. So I I'm on the fence here because I'm with you in that if the Kings played this game 3 weeks ago, like, maybe they do lose by 10. Like, you continued seeing the kind of growth as this team comes together, but also with 19 games left, I can't be like, yeah, hey, but at least they played well.
No,
it's like it turns out it might not matter.
Yeah.
Anyways, get to the Elk Grove Kia Talk Line, 916-909-1320, 916-909-1320. Let's hit our guy Victor. Victor, what's going on, man?
You guys.
What's up, Vic?
I dropped him. He was in the middle of saying the same thing he said last week.
Oh, all right. Sick. What else we got? Who's on line two? Brandon.
We got Brandon. This is a real caller.
Great. Brandon, salute. What's up?
Best morning show out there.
Thanks, man. How are you?
I just wanted to give my comment real quick and just say, like, as a fan, it's been a lot of fun actually watching the team lately. No drama, And I actually feel really comfortable going into the postseason. I think we'll end up in a play-in situation, but I feel a lot more comfortable with the team now than it was a couple weeks ago. If we go into one of those games, losing by a couple points to the Clippers and the Nuggets, without Monk and Sabonis, if we would have had those two guys, who knows, you could have won both of those games and could have a totally different feel right now for this team. So I just wanted to overall say, like, as a fan, it's just been fun to watch. I love Zach on the team. I feel way more confident when he's taking his shots than I did a couple weeks ago with the other guys. So there's going to be ups and downs, but I'm just happy as a fan to watch the team again. So it's been nice.
Great. Thanks, Brandon.
Yeah,
salute.
I think, like, overall, the depth is better. Like, there's more quality of depth with this team than there was before. And that's, Valanciunas, Jake LaRavia, like, adding, like, really solid minutes. Again, whether Markelle Fultz plays a lot of minutes or not, we had his sort of moments that he's played okay. And now we're seeing a little bit more Devin Carter. But I think Zach LaVine has been absolutely phenomenal. Again, another 30-point night last night. He's shooting the lights out. And then last night, I thought one of the better things was he was 0 for 6 from 3 to start the game. And instead of going 0 for 10 from 3, he just got to the rim at will. Yep. And he was so slick getting to the rim. Just like, that's what you're supposed to do. When the shots aren't falling, you don't just keep forcing up more, bad shots from the perimeter. You get to the rim. And so, look, I think he's been very, very good. And, am I surprised how good he is offensively? No. This is who he's been throughout his career. I am surprised that he's been a little bit better than advertised on the defensive end, but I also think the Kings are better suited right now to support him with LaRavia playing minutes and with Jonas Valanciunas standing in the middle of the key.
Yeah.
So just different.
Yeah, and I think what Brandon said there, look, there's above all, it's sports. And if you're having a good ass time watching the Kings, salute. Like that's the goal here. We're trying to turn a game on and have a nice evening watching basketball. And if that's you, great. I think he hit the nail on the head though of where I'm kind of at right now. 2.5. You got to make up 2.5 games. You got 19 games left. You have a tough schedule down the stretch. That's going to be. You have Golden State team in 6 right now who's playing really well. Minnesota has gotten Julius Randle back, and he's played really well since he's come back. I think they've won 3 or 4 in a row. So I'm kind of with Brandon, where last night was a hit to the 6 seed, where I really felt going into the night. I'm like, man, you get a win tonight. You're in just such a good spot. Now you have to not only do you have to get past the Clippers, because they own the tiebreaker, but you got to also get past Minnesota and you got to get past Golden State. 2 teams playing well. But on the other hand, if they get into a play-in, I feel really good about them in the play-in against any of those teams. Maybe not feel good about them against the Clippers or Minnesota, but it wouldn't be like, oh, wow, they can't beat that team.
No, you just think it'd be a highly competitive game.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I mean, that's the beauty of the play-in. I think right now we're seeing it play out the way it's supposed to. You have a group of 10 teams, the bottom 4 are really fighting it out. And some nights you're going to beat a team that maybe you shouldn't, and some nights you're not. But at the same time, I think that this is a Kings team that has a shot against just about anybody, especially if they can get healthy.
Yep.
And as of right now, they're not healthy, but we'll have to see how it goes.
Let's give something away. Our friends at Jiffy Lube have given us a $50 Jiffy Lube gift certificate and a Insider's hoodie exclusive via Jiffy Lube. We'll announce the winner on Friday, but you can enter now. You go to ESPN1320.com. You find the Jiffy Lube contest page. You can't miss it. It's front and center. They're going to ask you to enter a code word. And today's code word, based on last night's 111-110 overtime defeat to the Los Angeles Clippers, today's word is heartbreak. All one word, heartbreak. 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 Enter that now to enter to win a $50 Jiffy Lube gift certificate and an exclusive Insider's hoodie that you can only get through this giveaway, courtesy of our friends at Jiffy Lube. Heartbreak is the word of the day. Salute to Jackie in promotion. She came up with that one. That was appropriate. That's what that was last night. That was just a gutting ass loss because they played so well. Like that's why it hurts. It's like they played really well, and we're just past the point of like I did the whole like say yes to moral victories thing after the Nuggets game because I thought in that spot on the road, last game of a road trip going up against Denver, that I thought there was a chance they lose that game by 20.
Oh, I totally agree.
And they played really well, and they fell apart down the stretch, and all right, you know what? But you hung with Denver. That's great. Last night, though, man. Can I get one more stop?
One more stop.
Can I get one more well-executed offensive possession? Like they were that close.
That's what it was. It wasn't even so much the stops because I think they got the stops.
Mhm.
It was the one more well-executed offensive play.
Yeah.
And there were so many poorly executed offensive plays, and just like one after another, where you're like, oh man, what were you thinking?
Yeah, and I it's just we've talked about this so much, and I don't want to get into it again, but it really like crystallized on Zach LaVine's shot at the end of regulation. Got a decent look from 18 feet, rattled out, and we're going to overtime. But you just can't consistently have your late game offense be settling for tough jumpers. Like it's just it can't. I know that we've talked about this so often, but that was it. It's like, man, you just dribbled into like a fall away 18-footer. That's so tough. And it's not even just the last shot of the game. It feels like that happens a lot. Like game gets tight and it's not okay. They're moving the ball. They're finding an open shot. They're getting to the paint. They're getting to the line. It's just, all right, let's hope they hit the contested jumpers. And I don't want to live like that.
The one problem is that's who your team is. I mean, it's like DeMar DeRozan is your closer at this point. And in this game specifically, I thought DeMar DeRozan tried to take over for a good portion of the fourth quarter.
Mm-hmm.
And then Zach LaVine stepped right back up and said, no, I'm going to help finish this too.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought that was great to see, to see sort of the combination here. But that's something that we need to see more of especially a player who can get to the rim at any time. And if he doesn't score at the rim, he's getting to the free throw line and just stopping the game, slowing the game down. He's a great free throw shooter.
Yeah.
So I think that there is a value in having those two guys. I just think that, again, you have to find ways to have easier shots. And
that's it.
That just didn't happen.
Yeah. What's your go-to play that's going to get you an easy look?
Yeah. When was the 24-second shot clock violation? Because no one would shoot the ball. Like there was that weird play.
Yeah.
There was also where they reset, where Valanciunas got blocked at the rim, and then they reset the shot clock on accident, and they went and calculated to see when DeRozan, if he had got the shot off in time or not. Like all kinds of weird stuff in that game that just, but what it really equated to was poor offensive execution time and time again.
Yeah.
That cost you.
Yeah, man. I don't know. Like I said, it's so funny how different the conversation is if Kawhi Leonard's shot bounces the other direction.
I totally agree. Yeah.
Very, very different. He's James. I'm Kyle. Joe Brazil's hanging out with us. We're the Insider, sponsored by Jiffy Lube. This is ESPN 1320, Sacramento sports leader. 916-909-1320, 916-909-1320. It's the Elk Grove Kia talk line. If you'd like to join the show, Mitch is in New Jersey. I would like to weigh in on the Sacramento Kings. Go ahead, Mitch.
Mitch, can you hear us?
He's gone. Manny is on line 2. Manny, what's going on?
Hey guys, a couple of thoughts about last night. One is, and this is the thing with for me, for DeMar and Zach is right. They're pretty redundant players. They both, they're closers, and I think the problem at the end too is having that point guard that can run these sets, that can get them in better positions where they're not forced. The great one-on-one players, putting them in better positions of executing one-on-one plays and not giving them the burden of having to create and sometimes take these bad shots at times. And with that, and this is my biggest criticism on this organization with signing guys is you go out and get Markelle Fultz, who hasn't played in how long?
9 months.
And 9 months, James. And when you have a player that hasn't played in 9 months, he needs time to get himself back in the flow of things. And if your idea of time is 2 minutes here, 5 minutes there, he's never going to get that groove back And so as an organization, when you're out there looking for that backup point guard or point guard, you should be out there looking for guys that are currently playing or have been in the flow of playing live basketball, so you can insert them in these positions that you're trying to get to execute. And they just run out there and get guys and just hope they stick. And that's my problem with them, is go out there and get what you actually need, not hope this guy becomes what he was 9 months ago. Get a guy that's been running ball for a while, so he can play these 5 minutes, 4 minutes, whatever it is, and he's already in the groove of playing basketball.
Thanks for the call, man.
Yeah, I mean, for me, the biggest issue with Markelle Fultz is it's so often he looks like a player who hasn't played, and he's just out of rhythm, out of sync.
I was talking with Kevin John, our guy from ABC 10, and he's a big Markelle Fultz guy. Like it's a missing piece. I'm sorry, I don't see it, and it's not. This is less about Markelle Fultz as a player, because he's a real contributor for a good Magic team last year. But this is about where Markelle Fultz is today on March 10th, and what the Kings need from a perspective backup point guard.
Yeah, that's
I just don't see it right now.
Yeah, when they signed him, you're kind of like, okay, you have to at least give it a shot. He is a player with talent. He was a number 1 overall pick, all that stuff. But you very quickly see how he's losing his minutes to Devin Carter every night. And, Doug is giving him, first run, but he took such a bad jump shot in the win over the Spurs on Friday. He took just a horrible jump shot.
Yeah.
And Doug pulled him and went to Devin Carter. I thought Devin Carter gave him good energy, but now we're getting to the point where Devin Carter's all of a sudden chucking up weird shots. You're like, what are you doing? Like, play within the confines of the offense. Like, there's no reason to do crazy stuff.
Yep.
And so you are caught in the middle here with an inexperienced player and a player who is inexperienced this season, who doesn't have a rhythm, who doesn't have a flow, and could probably use a good week in the G League just to get his game going again. And that's not going to happen with Markelle Fultz, but probably would have done him a lot of good just to get his rhythm back in the game of basketball.
I would agree with you. Is Leezy still there, Joe? All right, let's hit Leezy before we step aside briefly. Leezy, what's up, man?
Yo, Kyle and Ham, what's up, guys? Love the show. Hey,
appreciate you.
Also love my Insiders hoodie. Shout out to Jiffy Lube.
My dog.
Yes, sir. Hey, guys, Manny, you kind of stole my thunder. I agree with this call. I really agree that the Kings kind of need a good point guard to organize the offense. Ham, kind of, as you mentioned, sometimes we get into a DeMar DeRozan and a Zach LaVine, your turn, my turn type of thing. But yeah, one guy I wish the Kings could have got was maybe Reggie Jackson. We talked about that. Even Dennis Schroeder, he got traded like 8 times. I wish he could have landed on the Kings. But going forward, I'm kind of cautiously optimistic about the team. I like Zach LaVine's 3-point making. I like when Keegan's aggressive. The games when Keegan takes over, we tend to win. And even Valanciunas, on like 80% of the league, he would be a starter. So I'm liking the pieces we got, but I agree with you guys. We still need some defense and definitely some playmaking.
Thanks, Lizzie. Appreciate the call. Yeah, man. That's just it. It's not a disaster right now. That was a game you would have really liked to win last night.
Oh, yeah, totally.
Yeah. 7 assists on 10 makes in the first quarter. 6 assists on 8 makes in the second quarter. 8 assists on 10 makes in the third quarter. Those are all really good numbers. So that's through 3 quarters. 21 assists on 28 made baskets. Feel good about that?
Yep.
Fourth quarter, 3 assists on 8 makes.
Yeah, that's not good enough. It just stops. It becomes hero ball.
It's too, like, last possession, Zach LaVine dribbling it around and getting to his spot and getting a shot. I don't hate that. Like, that's how the sport goes. It's when that starts happening with 8 minutes left in the game.
Every game. That's the problem.
Right.
It's not just
that's
once.
What they got to figure out. I'm going to keep harping on that too. If you would like me to stop harping on that, sorry, it's not going to happen. All right. He's James. I'm Kyle. Joe Brazil's hanging out with us. We're going to put a pin in some basketball stuff. We got a Kings-Knicks game to look ahead to, but we got a bunch of NFL news to get to as well. And we're going to do all of that on the Insiders. He's James. I'm Kyle. Joe Brazil, Jiffy Lube, 1320. Let's go.
I don't think there's something Manny said about the combination of Zach and DeMar being redundant. I don't think they're redundant. Like they have very, very different skill sets. But I do think that there is a world in which a team doesn't have to have one closer, where you just continue to play regular everyday basketball. You know? That like where you're passing and you're doing what a normal team should do. Like for whatever reason, like you get to the last 3 minutes of a game, okay, I get it. It does slow down and all that stuff, but it just feels like the Kings like lose their way too early in games, and it becomes way too much.
Yeah.
So.
I'm really interested to see how this all looks when Sabonis and Monk come back.
Yeah.
Also, Drew, we're stealing jokes now. All right. I see you.
Somebody asked about Monk. John Poles, like we do know that Sabonis is out for tonight. He won't play again until Thursday at the earliest. But there is a possibility that Malik Monk plays tonight. Like the wording of the press release was very ambiguous, but they made sure to tell us that Domas was out the next 2 games, but that Monk was officially out for yesterday's game. I think there's a possibility he plays tonight. And I think that would help the Kings. Especially with Jalen Brunson out.
Sorry, the NFL stuff is
wild.
I'm full blown doing doing other stuff right now.
Miss Mac, I think you would have had a better chance of winning with Sabonis. Although, to be honest, Sabonis has had the same problems this season and last with the Clippers that Valanciunas had. He gets in foul trouble, and Zubats has become a much better player than anyone, I think, predicted.
Not at 22 million goddamn dollars. Holy smokes.
Oh, yeah, that was a lot of money.
It's really funny. The 49ers are like, hey, we're going to be more responsible with how we spend our money. And then they're more responsible with how they spend their money. And people are like, oh. Yeah, we're going to talk about King Spurs in a little bit. Friday night feels like 15 days ago. No, not yet.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is where I was at with Devontae. If he was going to be like 1 year, 12 million or something, great. But
yeah, we said 2 years, 24.
Yeah, he wasn't, because he's still really freaking good. So if you can get a really freaking good player for cheap, then yeah, sure. But paying market value for him doesn't make a lot of sense, given their other needs. I would agree with this. Yeah, it's going to be, that's pretty nuts. Hell yeah, David. Salute. Be loud. Yeah, shout out to Gino, man. Good for him. Good for the Raiders, too. Got an adult at QB. That's great.
Yeah, that was the decision, right?
Now, back to the Insiders with James Ham and Kyle Madsen, brought to you by Jiffy Lube on ESPN 1320.
I don't know if there's a bigger day of overreaction than in sports than the opening of the legal negotiating window for the NFL free agency and fans reacting to that. It's insane.
Yeah, it's so much different than, free agency in the NBA is just like one after another after another. It's like the shock and awe of it. This is, I mean, it's at least fun. It's fun to watch, right?
From the 49ers standpoint, they said they were going to be smarter about how they spend their money. They were going to stop spending money, but they were going to stop doing deals that wound up kicking money down the road where they're paying $65 million plus $70+ million for a bunch of dudes who aren't on the team anymore.
Mm-hmm.
So it makes sense that when free agency opens, they're not out paying top dollar for a cornerback or a wide receiver. They were never going to pay Drew Dahlman, the former Falcon center, best center available. The Niners need a new center. He was never an option.
Mm-hmm.
If he was going to be super cheap, great. But he's a 26-year-old, really good player who got top of market money. Like, they weren't going to play in that pool. They were never going to play in that pool. And if that was the expectation, like, you weren't paying attention. So that's where I'm at on this.
I do like what the Bears have done with that offensive line. They
Yeah.
got the center that you're talking about. They also went out and got 2 really good guards.
Yeah.
And next thing you know, they've like fortified an offensive line for Caleb Williams.
Yeah, man.
And good for them.
Yeah. DK Metcalf was traded to the Steelers yesterday for a 2nd-round pick. And then he got a massive new contract. Salute. They needed wide receiver help, and they got the best available wide receiver.
Man, they might have the 2 like biggest like ripped dudes ever at, like, you wouldn't want to fight their wide receiving core.
No. Yeah.
No.
George Pickens is a maniac.
Yeah, both of them are just like gigantic, like ripped dudes.
Absolutely. Gonna be fun to watch. That duo.
Yeah.
We mentioned Devontae Adams of the Rams. 2 years, $44 million, $26 million guaranteed.
That's a lot of cash.
It's a lot of money, but man, the Rams with Matthew Stafford have a pretty small window, so they're trying to maximize it. And here's where the Rams too, and this is circling this back to San Francisco real quick. The Rams are able to do this because they don't have a ton of high-priced guys on their roster.
Yep.
Their defense is all like 2nd and 3rd year guys. So they're in a spot where they can afford to do that. The 49ers are not. That's why they're not going to go be players for these big money, these big money free agents.
Mm-hmm.
Because they don't have, they've not had enough consecutive draft classes that have been producing to go, yeah, hey, we're going to have a bunch of rookie contracts. Cool. Let's bring in some more expensive deals. Like, that's just not where they're at.
And, you know, just to make sure people know, they did sign Lenore like at the end of the season. So, like, it's not part of the free agency window here, but they did make one of their big moves before the season ended to lock up Lenore for long term.
Yeah.
So you got
a really
your
team-friendly deal.
Yeah, you got your defensive back that you might be shopping for right now.
Mm-hmm.
So.
And the other thing is, this is true for every fan base. You have to look at, when a player you like leaves, like Talanoa Hufanga, it looks like he's going to the Broncos. Talanoa Hufanga is a really fun player. But from the 49ers perspective, they're going, okay, we can re-sign this guy. But man, for as many plays as he makes a lot of mistakes.
Mm-hmm.
He had an ACL. Once he came back from his ACL, he hurt his ankle. So he played one game. He played week 3. Hurt his ankle in the lead up to week 4. Didn't play in week 4. Came back in week 5 and hurt his wrist and was out till week 15 or whatever.
Yeah, I mean, he had a nightmare season.
He had a bunch of injury problems, and he's not irreplaceable. Mm-hmm. So yeah, you'd love to have him on the team, but yeah, you know what? He's probably gone. Trevarius Ward has made it clear he doesn't want to be in the Bay Area anymore because of the personal trauma that he went through while being in the Bay Area. Salute, bet. Dre Greenlaw. Dre Greenlaw is a massive question mark because of his Achilles injury. He looked awesome last year, but he played half a game against the Rams and then had to get out because of a knee.
Mm-hmm.
And then he played 4 snaps against the Dolphins and had to get out because of a calf.
Yeah,
So
it's
it's a
not good.
huge question mark. If some team wants to pay him top 10 linebacker money, all right, see ya. As bad as they might want him back. So, and for players who were signed before the legal negotiating window opened, if they just re-signed with their teams, there's nothing any team could do about that. 49ers, Raiders, or otherwise. The Jets were going to bring back Jamie and Sherwood, for example, linebacker who was connected to the 49ers because of Robert Saleh and all that. They just re-signed him before he became a free agent. Nothing you can do about it.
Nope. And he got good money.
Got really good money. Got paid.
Yep.
So if your favorite NFL team is inactive in the first, let's see, what are we, an hour and 51 minutes into the legal negotiating window? It's not time to panic. You're good.
Yeah, I mean, look, I know everybody, you want your team to go out there and be aggressive, right? Especially the 49ers have, I don't know if they have a defensive tackle on the roster right now that is even remotely close to starting quality. And defensive tackles all of a sudden are getting a bunch of money. The 49ers cut a couple of defensive tackles, in Hargrave and Malik Collins, right? Over the last few days.
The Collins one surprised me.
Yeah, because he at least seemed like low-cost insurance, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like whether he's great or not, at least he was...
Started 17 games for you last year.
Yeah, and he was you're on the hook for like 10 or 11 million, right?
Mm-hmm.
It seems like that would have been a more like reasonable player to keep around, especially if defensive tackle money's going to go crazy.
That was surprising to me, for sure.
Maybe they've just like circled the number 11 pick in the draft, whatever it is.
Yeah, that was kind of my takeaway, is they feel good about a player they can get there.
Yeah, they have to have some sort of mindset of who they're targeting in the draft. I don't think that either that or they have a trade lined up for somebody else. That just didn't make a lot of sense. But look, if you're waiting for your team, the 49ers have superstars all over the field.
Mm-hmm.
And that means that you don't have a lot of money to go do the things that you need to bolster the roster everywhere.
Yeah, and you need to start hitting draft picks. Like, that's the bigger deal here.
Oh, I totally agree.
Free agency is kind of whatever. You need to have a good draft.
Mm-hmm.
That's the bottom freaking line. That's how they built their first Super Bowl window. If they're going to open another one, it's going to be via the draft. It's not going to be via free agency.
Mm-hmm.
If they sign Joey Bosa, who he's in talks with the 49ers, if they sign into an affordable, if it's 1 year, $12 million, that's just the number we keep landing on, $12 million. If it's 1 year, $12 million, cool, man. Like $8 million guaranteed, whatever it is, awesome. You bring him in, but you still need to draft somebody. You still need more depth there.
Yeah.
So that's what it all comes down to for me. On the other side, the Raiders, Robert Spillane, bad news, leaving Las Vegas for the Patriots. Really, really excellent player for them last year, had a breakout season. He is now signing with New England. But man, they traded for Geno Smith over the weekend.
Mm-hmm.
And I got to tell you, man, I don't know that Geno Smith is a guy who's going to go win you a Super Bowl, and I don't even know if that's Vegas's expectation this year. Well, for Pete Carroll, it is. Pete Carroll, it's always compete or win forever, whatever the title of his book is. But that's a legitimate, bona fide NFL starting quarterback who can be there for a year, 2 years, 5 years, and he's going to be an adult in the room, and he's going to be a good player. He's going to be an effective player. And that is so much better to me. I love that they did this. Because whether he ultimately becomes a stopgap quarterback or they're like, no, he's the franchise guy.
Mm-hmm.
It's, to me, such a better position to put your team in as you're trying to establish a culture and a foundation. It is such a better spot to be in than Aiden O'Connell v. Joe Flacco quarterback battle, and you're dealing with that all season. And signing Desmond Ridder off somebody's practice squad.
Or even going into the draft and maybe getting a quarterback that makes sense, but probably not. Like, they extended him. Like, I do look at this as like, you probably just bought yourself a good, I don't know, 2-3 seasons where you don't have to draft the next quarterback for your franchise. And for the Raiders specifically, to not have a franchise quarterback, to not have someone who is competent at the position for so long, it's really difficult. It's difficult to do anything positive, to build anything. And so this is a good move.
Competent is the perfect word.
Yeah.
Because that's his baseline. if you get a good offensive line in front of Geno Smith, you get some. You already got Brock Bowers. You already got Jacoby Myers. That's a really nice little 1-2 punch in the passing game. I'm sure there will be a draft pick in there. I'm sure there will be another free agent in there. Like, they're in a spot to have a pretty dramatic turnaround thanks to the acquisition of Geno Smith. And they traded, a 3rd-round pick for him?
Yeah, something like that.
That's way better than any quarterback you were going to get in the 3rd round this year. I'd so much rather have Geno Smith than Jackson freaking Dart or whoever.
Yeah.
Dylan Gabriel. Like, maybe those guys will be good players, but you have no idea. I know Geno can hoop. I will take that all day as you're trying to establish what Las Vegas and their new regime is trying to establish. So salute to the Raiders, making one of the many seismic moves in the NFL over the weekend. All right, we'll have some more NFL stuff coming down as free agency continues. We got to look ahead to tonight's Kings-Knicks game. Last night was a brutal loss for the Kings, 111-110 in overtime against the Clippers. But I actually think good news that they're on a back-to-back. Not a lot of time to dwell on it. You got to get right back in the saddle tonight, and we will discuss that coming up next on The Insiders. I'm Kyle Madsen. He's James Ham. Joe Brazil on the ones and twos. We're sponsored by Jiffy Lube. It's ESPN 1320, Sacramento Sports Center. Right now. I got it. All right, my win streak on Underdog Daily Fantasy has come to an end. Their pick'em game, it's super easy. As long as you got takes, you can play. You pick 2 or more players, you pick higher or lower on their stats. I had won 4 lineups in a row, including 3 perfect ones. Like 3 out of 3, 4 out of 4, 3 out of 3. Then I got a 2 out of 3, but I play the flex play so you can miss one, still win some money. And then last night was a disaster. I had Jonas Valanciunas. I had less than 29.5 points, rebounds, assists. He went way higher than that. I had James Harden to get a double-double. I don't know if he got there or not, but it didn't matter because I had Zach LaVine, who's been scorching hot from 3. I said, Zach LaVine is going to keep cooking. He's going to get some shots up. And he did. I needed him to make 3 3-pointers, though, and he only made the 1. Couldn't get hot for me in the 4th quarter or overtime. So I lost that lineup and snapped a little 4 lineup winning streak.
You did get the double-double from Harden.
Did he eventually get there? I gave up when I saw that LaVine wasn't going to get to the 3-pointers I needed, but would love for you to play along. Download the Underdog app and sign up now using the promo code KyleM to unlock a special offer of up to $1,000 in bonus credit when you make your first deposit. Join in on the fun when you sign up with promo code KyleM. Claim your special offer today and get up to $1,000 in bonus cash instantly upon first deposit. Must be 18 plus and present in a state where Underdog Fantasy operates. Terms apply. Void in Colorado. Concerned with your play? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit www.ncpgambling.org. In Arizona, call 1-800-NEXT-STEP or text NEXT-STEP to 53342. In New York, call the 24/7 Hope line at 1-877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY. My dog. Oh my God, Twitter's down again.
Mark, unlikely. If the Kings don't win the play-in and land 9 or 10, wait. No, as of right now, I mean, you can look and see where the Kings are. As of right now, the Kings pick would be the 14th pick, which goes to Atlanta. You got to get in the top 12, and the teams above them. Number 13 is the Mavs. Number 12 are the Suns. Number 11 is the Heat. And number 10 are the Blazers. But you also have to remember, it's top 12 protected, but that's after the actual lottery. So they don't lose their pick instantly, and then that pick moves into the top 4, and the Kings are out their pick. So there's always a 0.01 random chance that you could move up. But yeah.
Hey, this is super off the reservation here.
Okay.
Have you guys seen the new MLB ads?
No.
From New Era? These are the worst hats I've ever seen. And I've seen I've seen a lot of NFL draft hats. Look at these. What is this?
Oh no.
What is happening with this?
No.
Look at the Texas one for my Spanish speakers. Look at that.
What?
What an insane thing to do. Hey, y'all do not want to see me when I pull up in my Fippies hat.
What is happening?
Look at this Rockies hat might be the worst hat I've ever seen in my life. What is that?
Oh.
What is that? Oh my God. Hey, for you Ariana Grande fans out there?
Oh yeah, look at that. What is happening? Eric, look at the Angels.
Oh yeah. We saw the Angels. Hang on. I'll get to that.
Oh no, I'm starting to put two and two together here.
Uh-oh.
I haven't seen it either.
Hang on. Let me pull it back up here. Pause.
Yeah, it looks like Twitter is struggling again.
There's no way they signed off on that.
They did.
That is insane.
Bro, they did. Catch me in a Bobon hat?
Oh my gosh.
What a horrible idea. Oh, God, I can't wait to buy one. Hour number 2. That's James Ham. I'm Kyle Madsen. Joe Brazil is here as well. We're the Insiders. And we're sponsored by Jiffy Lube.
Jiffy Lube.
Hanging out with you till noon. Then we'll hand it off to D'Lo and KC. I am fighting a hiccup. I am fighting for my life right here.
Yeah? Hold your
We're
breath.
good. We're good. I got it. We're all set. Here we go. Kings Knicks tonight. Kings looking to bounce back from a brutal loss to the Los Angeles Clippers last night. Some good news for the Knicks. Jalen Brunson, or excuse me, some good news for the Kings. They won't have to see Jalen Brunson tonight, who is unfortunately dealing with a pretty bad ankle injury. It's going to keep him out for a while. He is still not back. He suffered that injury last week against the Lakers.
I know Davion Mitchell told me a couple of years ago that the most difficult player to defend in the league for him is Jalen Brunson. He said it's like his low center of gravity and everything he does is like off the wrong foot.
Yeah.
And so he just catches you off guard and like in an awkward situation. Yeah.
He's the player I would least like to try and guard because look, this is not a like, oh, I could hang within it. No, every NBA player is cooking me.
Oh yeah.
Without like not even like to the point that it doesn't matter if I'm guarding them because they're just going to go by me before I can. But I feel like Jalen Brunson would go just through my chest on purpose.
Mm-hmm.
Like he would purposely make it hurt. And that's why I would not want to guard him.
I also like Bogdan Bogdanovic told me years ago that that James Harden for him was the most difficult because Harden like just moves in a weird way and you lean one way or you lean the other and it's almost like a goalkeeper in soccer. Once they catch you leaning one way, he just goes and you're like, he's not even that fast. He's not even that quick, but he has you off balance.
Yeah.
The whole time. And so there are specific players, but having Brunson out is huge.
Yeah, man. Going to be a lot of Miles McBride, a lot of Josh Hart. Of course, Mikal Bridges, OG Anunoby, Karl Anthony Towns, Cameron Payne.
Oh.
Probably get a lot of Cameron Payne tonight.
Uh-oh.
That's annoying. I'm already annoyed. Every time he shoots the ball, I'm like, hell no. And then it goes in.
Sideways.
Every time.
Yeah.
So frustrating. It's my maturation as a person can be traced by my thoughts about the New York Knicks and Madison Square Garden.
Okay.
I know they're not playing in Madison Square Garden, but I used to be like, this is dumb. The Knicks stink. The Knicks have stunk basically my entire life. Why does everybody fawn over the Knicks? Why are they important? Why does anyone care? Madison Square Garden, the Mecca, what? They haven't hosted a finals game since the 90s. Like, why are we, what is the deal here? And then I get it now. I understand now. I understand why the Knicks are important.
It's an incredible building to go visit.
Yeah.
Like, I was there for All-Star Weekend years ago.
Right.
And just an incredible building.
Mm-hmm.
And weird, like because a modern NBA building is very, very different.
Mm-hmm.
Modern NBA building is way steeper. Like the sight lines are better. Like everything, like if you're sitting upstairs in New York, you could be like 100 yards away, 200 yards away from the court. You're like so far away. It's ridiculous. Almost like sitting in the media booth at Levi. You're just so far away, and you're really, really high. But still, it has a vibe to it, and it's something that's totally different.
Yeah.
I think every player, like, that's their goal, is to go play at least one game at Madison Square Garden, just so you can have that feel.
Yeah, so the Knicks are a weird team this year because I think they were, it's a Tom Thibodeau club.
Mm-hmm.
They have OG Anunoby. They have Mikal Bridges. They have Josh Hart. They've got what's his name? He's always hurt. Big man.
Oh, Carl Anthony. Oh, Mitchell Robinson.
Mitchell Robinson.
Of course.
Like, okay, you can see where this might just be a really suffocating defensive team. And they're not. They've been a pretty bad defensive team.
Yeah.
And offensively, they're a nightmare. Even without Jalen Brunson, they're going to be tough.
Yeah, their offensive rating, according to Basketball Reference, are 5th in the NBA in offensive rating. Defensive rating, they're 15th.
It's better.
They're a good team, for sure. They're just built differently than you thought they play differently than you think their build looks like. Because they do have really good defensive players at like multiple positions. 3 of their starters are like excellent defenders.
Mm-hmm.
And then, you have Brunson and you have Cat typically. But yeah, this is a really, really intriguing team to watch.
I feel like their issue was always going to be depth. Mm-hmm. And I think that you're going to see that even more with no Jalen Brunson on the floor. Like, I think that's where, all right, their starting 5 might be really good. But once you get past that, there's nobody that necessarily scares me with them. Miles McBride's a nice little player, but like Precious Achiuwa, fine. Cameron Payne, Mitchell Robinson, really fine rebounder. Can alter a shot at the rim, but not somebody that you're freaking out about when he gets into the game. Like Landry Shaman's getting minutes.
Yeah, Mitchell Robinson just has not been able to play at all.
Yeah, he's played 4 games this year.
Yeah, it's just really tough.
When he plays, he's good. When he plays, he's a nice player.
Yeah.
But, yeah, man, I just, you take anybody out of their starting 5, and they're just a lot less formidable. You make that player Jalen Brunson, and and again, this is a Tom Thibodeau team. They're going to play hard. Mm-hmm. They can score the heck out of the ball, even with no Jalen Brunson. But like that's the tip of the spear. That's the head of the snake. And when you remove him from the equation, they just become a lot less formidable. Like they scare me a lot less with no Jalen Brunson.
Yeah, and they've lost 3 in a row.
Mm-hmm.
So they're in a stretch where most of their games are on the road, and they haven't fared well on the road. They're in the middle of a 5-game road trip right now. Where they've already lost to the Lakers and the Clippers. They lost to Golden State right before that at home, but then they had 2 games on the road, and then 1 home game, and then 2 games on the road. Like they've played a lot. So what is that? 9 of their 11 games are in a stretch of 9 of 11 where they're on the road. And that's just tough. Especially when you lose Brunson, they just look like a different team without him. So you got to see what team shows up. But this is a team that gave the Kings problems early in the season. And I remember specifically OG Anunoby just blew up the Kings. Just absolutely trashed them. They beat the Kings 143-120.
They are regardless of Jalen Brunson's status, they're just going to be a tough matchup for Sacramento.
Yeah.
That's what it comes down to. But like I said, Sacramento's depth might help them here in this game against the Knicks. You got some keys for today?
Yeah, I got some keys.
Okay. What's number one?
Number one, play through the pain.
Oh.
Everyone played major minutes last night. Nobody cares. Like, you're a basketball player. Again, it doesn't help that the Kings had three players play 44 minutes or more. And then they had to get on a plane and fly home and, get in the middle of the night and hey, you got to be ready. Got to be ready to play. And you might get some reinforcements with Malik Monk potentially playing. Maybe not. We don't know yet. But again, this is the NBA. Nobody cares if your legs are sore.
Mm-hmm.
They just don't.
Number one for me, and this might be a little tougher playing on the second night of a back-to-back, but to me, you have to turn them into playmakers. It can't just be OG Anunoby gets to hang out and shoot threes, and Mikal Bridges gets to hang out and shoot threes, and Karl Anthony Towns gets to hang out and shoot threes. It's like not that you can just be like, oh yeah, OG Anunoby puts the ball on the deck and you've won the possession. Like, no, because he'll just get into somebody's chest and he can go score inside for sure. But it's in baseball. When you're in little league and in high school or maybe play travel ball or whatever, and you're told you want to hit the ball on the ground because if you hit it at somebody, they got to make 2 plays.
Mm-hmm.
Well, they got to make 3 plays. They got to field it. They got to make a good throw. Then first base got to make the play. Versus a pop up is you got to make 1 play.
Yep,
that's a little bit how this feels to me. If you're letting the Knicks do what they want to do offensively, and you're letting OG get open for 3, and you're letting Mikal Bridges sit open for 3, and you're letting Karl Anthony Towns get out and shoot some threes, you're gonna have a really, really tough time. But if you make them put the ball on the deck, I think you can force them into some mistakes that they wouldn't make otherwise.
No, I totally agree. I mean, the last time these two teams played, OG had 33, and Mikal Bridges had 27, and Jalen Brunson had 25, and Hart had 20. We'll get to that in just a sec. And Karl Anthony Towns had a quiet 18. You gave up so many points to their starting players.
Yeah. Yep.
They scored 143, and only 20 of those came from the bench.
Whew, man. Number two.
Number two is if you don't put a body on Josh Hart, he will end you.
Yeah.
The last time these two teams played, 20 points, 18 rebounds, and 11 assists for Josh Hart.
Good God.
A 20, 18, and 11 triple-double for what amounts to their 5th option in their starting lineup.
He just forces the issue, man. Josh Hart does the thing, and they're different players, so I don't want to. But when we talk about Keegan Murray and wanting him to be more aggressive and hey, they're not gonna manufacture touches for you, so go make the touches.
Mm-hmm.
That's what Josh Hart does.
Oh yeah,
he just creates possessions for himself 10 times a game.
Yeah, he busts up the Kings every time they play him. He's a player that was available multiple times, and it's hey, why aren't you going out and getting this guy? Because he just crushes the Kings.
Mm-hmm.
He's going to stay there as long as possible, and just a phenomenal player. He's good defensively, and he does a lot of everything. And the Kings don't have a guard that will put a body on him and keep him off the glass, and that's going to be a problem. You have to play him with a bigger player, and that's not easy for the Kings. They don't have a bigger player to put on him.
Maybe we talked about this guy earlier. Maybe it's Jake LaRavia.
Yeah, maybe.
Hey, just go hustle with Josh Hart.
Yeah.
Number two for me is something that you just alluded to. There it is. You have to play their starters to a draw because you can beat their bench. Your bench can outscore their bench, but can you play their starters to a draw with Karl Anthony Towns, with OG Anunoby, with Mikal Bridges, with the problems those guys present just size-wise with what the Kings have defensively? That's going to be really key. You need Zach LaVine to be good tonight. You need Keegan Murray to be aggressive. You need DeMar DeRozan to be good tonight. If you can play their starters to a draw, I really like the Kings' chances.
Yeah, that's a very, very good point because that is a very their depth is totally in question, and it has been since they made the big move this summer to go get Mikal Bridges.
Yep. Number three.
Let's see. Somebody has to chase Cat.
Hmm.
Like this is a problem because Valanciunas can beat up Karl Anthony Towns inside, and he can even help you out with that rebounding issue. But the Kings don't have. I mean, whether it's Trey Lyles or maybe Jake LaRavia or maybe Keegan Murray, whoever's going to chase Cat on the perimeter, he's very good getting down in the post and scoring over you. But he's also like a 3-point shooter, and that's not where Valanciunas is comfortable at all. So it could be a big problem.
Yep. Last one for me. Turnovers.
Oh no.
Got to cut down the turnovers. No, but seriously, you have to execute in the half court, man. This is not a good defensive team. When you can get out in transition, get out in transition. They have good individual defenders, but they also have guys you can pick on. And if you're giving them free possessions, that's where this thing can spiral out of control. So it's my new thing. Every game is going to be about this.
Okay. Turnovers.
That's all three of my keys. Win the 3-point line.
Yep.
Rebounding. Turnovers.
Okay. That's it.
That's it. Okay. Kings Knicks tonight. Golden One Center. Can't wait. Should be a good one. We'll have more Kings. We haven't gotten to talk about De'Aaron Fox's return yet. We'll get to that and any other NFL news as the legal negotiating window enters its second hour. Free agency in the NFL has begun. We're covering that for you right here on The Insiders on ESPN 1320, Sacramento Sports. Tell Dustin we'll get to him here if he's still there. Dang. Milton Williams got $26 million.
Boy, the Patriots are spending like crazy.
Yeah, they are. They have a lot of money free. Merrick heading to the Panthers. 3 years and $51 million. Holy smokes.
Wow, that's a lot of money too.
Good for him. Goodness gracious.
Hmm.
Oh, okay. Yeah, we'll get to them both.
Cool. That's funny. Joe's playing goalie.
You're doing a great job, Joe.
The other guy didn't even get his words out. You guys thought, he was yelling. I did hear it. But
why is he yelling?
I don't know. That's a really good question.
Hey, David Ford, that's not just from the agents. And you could see multiple times where he said team sources and other stuff. No. And in all honesty, he could have been much, much harsher on the Kings.
That's facts. Did we get official word on Monk yet?
No, let me look one more time. We got another injury report coming up in a few minutes.
No, Lizzie, we just talked about it at one of the breaks.
The Kings have not submitted. They don't have to submit a injury report until, I don't know if it's 12:30 or 1:30 because they're on the second night of a back-to-back. And they'll probably want their training staff working with Monk this morning. There is no shoot around on the second night of a back-to-back. Yes, Matt Fisher. And Mark Souza, I don't get that either. Oh, Another big-time defensive tackle hits the market as the Steelers have released Larry
Ogunjobi.
Yeah.
Your face is 15 seconds.
You said that it hurt. It hurt more this time, actually. It hurt more this time than last time. It really did.
Now, back to the Insiders with James Ham and Kyle Madsen, brought to you by Jiffy Lube on ESPN 1320.
Hey, happy 30th birthday to Zach Levine.
Yes, 30.
Yeah, the big 3-0. Okay. Congratulations, Zach Levine. You know what we should get him for his birthday?
Oh?
Alex on the Oak Grove Kia talk line. 916-909-1320, 916-909-1320. Alex, you're on the Insiders. What's up, man?
What's up, guys? I'm in LA and wanted to shout you out because I'm able to listen to the Insiders like every morning and stay in touch with my Kings.
Oh, yeah.
Thank you for all the work you do.
Thanks, Alex.
I was calling in for something that I think is kind of like a basic question that is very hard to answer, but I'm wondering in the next 19 games or whatever it is, when Domas and Monk come back and are healthy, I still just don't understand how you can win serious games against real teams that are actually good and competing for playoff seeding and stuff. I don't know how you can not have two really good defenders on the court in closing moments. And like last night, the Keon benching was kind of interesting. I guess I sort of get it. I don't think I would do that, but I understand what James was saying. And I'm just wondering, like, how do you in these final games when you're trying to get into the, at least 8 or 7 seed, balance not having Keon and Keegan on the floor at the same time, knowing you need to like reincorporate Monk and Sabonis? And I know it's kind of like an age-old thing since the trade deadline, but yeah, I don't know how you do that and win real ball games.
Alex, are you listening on the free Odyssey app?
I'm listening on just YouTube.
Oh, okay, perfect.
There we go.
Okay, perfect. Checks in the mail. My man. Appreciate you. Yeah, that's going to be, I think the discussion is, what does this look like? When you start reintegrating Domantas Sabonis and Malik Monk into the lineup, if you're closing, because I always say in a playoff series, you kind of figure it out, right? It'll be matchup based. You'll try something game one, maybe it doesn't work. You make a little adjustment for game two, and you kind of figure that out as the series goes. I think though, in a play-in scenario, I don't envy Doug Christie at all, because you're either rolling out a lineup with only one of Keegan Murray or Keon Ellis on the floor, or you're running both of them out there and you're benching Malik Monk to close games. We can't do that because he's your primary ball handler. Okay, you're benching Zach Levine. Oh, you can't do that. You paid him to be on the court in those moments, or you acquired him to be on the court in those moments. He's ostensibly their one, right? All right, so you benching DeMar DeRozan? Like, nope, he's too good down the stretch of games, or capable of being too good down the stretch of games. So I don't envy Doug Christie and the coaching staff one bit.
Yeah, it's super complicated. And there are times where you can go offense, defense, and you can have guys on the floor. But, the way that basketball works, it's so fast, transition buckets, all that stuff. It's really difficult. And I even saw last night, I think today on Twitter, people throwing at me, oh, Doug Christie he went home with timeouts. He should have called a timeout to get his defense set. You can't call a timeout to get your defense set. You can only call a timeout in a game when you have the ball. And so that's why you can't just reset your lineup all the time. And it's gonna be tough. And Doug has to do a really good job coaching. And some nights it will be Jake LaRavia. Some nights it will be Keon Ellis. Some nights you're gonna have to go off a feel within a game. I'm not gonna put a specific formula that will work against every team every single night and just say that's it. because that's not the way basketball works. So
Right.
I do think that there are going to be times where you have to find a way to get Keon to get. I mean, there will be games where you should have Keon, Jake LaRavia, and Keegan Murray on the floor at the same time, and they might need to be in crunch time with Jonas Valanciunas instead of Domantas Sabonis, depending on the type of team you're going up against. And so, yeah, it's complicated, and every night is a new puzzle.
That's, I think, the key here. Like, you'd love to have a lineup that's just your go-to. Like, hey, these 5 guys are going to be closing, and it's going to work. But that's one of the things we talk about with the team build here is, hey, that's not it. And our caller Alex says, hey, what do you do here? And I think you just hit the nail on the head, man. It's going to be matchup based. Or at least it should be.
It's going to be matchup and feel and who's hot and who's not.
Yeah, and I think that if you're Doug Christie and you get into let's fingers crossed say that the Kings get to the playoffs, I think before that series, you're going to have to sit down with your starting 5 and say, hey, this is not necessarily the closing 5.
Yeah.
This is going to be if Malik Monk is struggling, turning the ball over, not shooting it well, like, yeah, hey, you know what? You might not finish the game tonight. Keon, as good as you've been, you know what? The Clippers are too big. So it's going to be Jake LaRavia tonight. Like, that has to be the process here, because it's not, there's the only wrong answer is that there's a definite right answer. Because I don't think there is.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think go back to last season, go back to the season before, go back to even the first 30, 40 games of this season.
Mm-hmm.
You had a defined group of players that were probably going to start and finish every single game.
Yeah.
I think Keon Ellis has upset that.
Right.
But at the same time, I don't know how you change things now. If you think you can get by without a point guard for long stretches in the final minutes of a game, that's one thing. If you think you can get by without Domantas Sabonis' passing, it really does depend on the feel of the game. And the final 3 minutes, when things get, when the game slows down a lot,
mm-hmm.
like you have to make tough decisions. And sometimes that means that you're going to hurt the feelings of a veteran who, is used to finishing games.
Is Dustin still there, Joe? Let's get to Dustin on the Oak Grove Kia talk line, 916-909-1320. Dustin, what's up, buddy?
What's good, James? What's good, Kyle? Love you guys.
Chilling.
Getting through my damn work day, man. I'm telling you.
Checks in the mail.
Quick question. How do y'all feel if Jake LaRavia keeps playing this good of ball, like these good minutes? Do you think that we're going to keep him next year?
Good question. Thanks, Dustin.
Yeah, Dustin.
Is your answer changing on this? Because originally you were saying, man, he's not that level of player that you're worried about losing. What's he going to make? 5.1 next year?
5.1 is the most the Kings can offer him.
Okay.
Right.
So you were pretty confident. Like, yeah, hey, he's not going to go get tens of millions of dollars in free agency. Like, he's a role player. He's a bona fide bench guy. But to Dustin's point, he's been really productive the last couple of nights where, hey, you know what? Maybe a team is willing to go give him 7, 8, 9 million.
Well, I would make the argument of that, like, if you want to get paid in the NBA, there's one way to do it, and that's to score. And so when you
oh, Jesus. Sorry.
You're right.
Yeah. Speaking of getting paid, Sam Darnold got paid.
He did.
Yeah. 3 years, $100 million with the Seattle Seahawks.
I think it's 111.5 or 110.5. That's the updated number.
Updated? Okay, great.
Yeah.
Sam Darnold will be the Seattle Seahawks quarterback for the foreseeable future.
Yeah, he like a 3-year deal. Like
110.5.
Okay.
I haven't seen the guarantees yet. Anyone know the guarantees?
I think the guarantees are up there too.
Man, good for him. Shout out to Sam Darnold.
I totally agree.
Got paid. Anyways, 30. Here we go from Mike Garafolo. 3 years. Now I'm seeing 100.5 million.
The number's moving all over.
55 guaranteed, 37.5 million in year one.
Okay,
it's a nice deal.
Yeah,
good for the Seahawks.
Yeah.
Anyways,
to get back to LaRavia.
Back to Jake LaRavia.
Yeah,
the Sam Darnold of Keegan Murray's.
I think the biggest thing I'd point out is the Kings are 8-4 since they got Jake LaRavia. And he means something to the court. Like when he's on the court, you see him. Sometimes it's chaos. I know my friend Sean Cunningham likes to say that sometimes he looks like a deer on skates.
Mhm.
And I think that that's accurate. There are times where he's kind of like erratic and all over the place. But this is a type of player that the Kings have needed forever. And if he is going to score a bunch of points or get his 3-point percentage back up to where, like, again, you would hope that it would be by the end of the season, it's possible that he gets a 3-year, $18 million offer or a 3-year,
Sure.
$21 million deal. But right now he's looking more like a 2-year 8 or a 2-year 10 or a 3-year 15, a 3-year 12. That's what he looks like right now. And he has a say. So when we say that the most the Kings can give him is 5.1 million, another team can come in at 6 million and he can say, I don't want to go play there.
Right.
So
Yeah.
it's not just like the highest bidder gets Jake LaRavia. The Kings, if he wants to be in Sacramento and he likes the opportunity and likes where he's sort of growing, and he could sign a 2-year deal.
California kid.
Yeah, but the second year is a team option, and the Kings acquired his bird rights. It's only this one season where they can't offer him more than the 5.1 million. So there's a possibility that he could be a restricted. He could be an unrestricted free agent next summer as well, the summer after. But now you have his bird rights and you can sign him to a larger contract.
Right.
So it's just a 5.1 million is specifically for next season.
We're at the game on Friday. Kings Spurs, De'Aaron Fox's return. We haven't gotten to talk about this yet. This is the Insiders, by the way. We're sponsored by Jiffy Lube. We're on ESPN 1320, Sacramento sports leader. He's Joe Brazil. I'm Kyle Madsen. That's James Ham. James, we're at the game on Friday. And I got to tell you, I thought the whole De'Aaron Fox return aspect of this, I thought it was handled perfectly. De'Aaron Fox got introduced. I thought 60-40 cheers to boos.
Yeah.
Maybe 65-35. More cheers than boos for sure, but the boos were there.
In intros.
There
were a lot more cheers than there were boos. I don't know if it was like 75% like I thought it might be, but it was still a lot more cheers than boos.
For sure. Then the tribute video.
Standing O. That was cheers.
Which is how it needed to go.
I totally agree.
Every time he touched the ball, boos. Tribute video. Thank you, De'Aaron. All cheers, standing O, very classy. Right back to it. The second he touched the ball again after the tribute video, boos. Perfect. It was perfect. I had such a great time. And it was the Kings did what they had to do. They kicked the holy hell out of the Spurs, and you move on with a W. Loved it.
Yeah, hat tip to Kings fans. I thought that was handled, and I know someone said, "Oh, you didn't capture from my point of view. There were way more boos during intros," and it's like, okay, look, you could be surrounded by people that are booing and just hearing boos, but when you pull back and you look at the whole building, there were a lot of people cheering, and there were a lot of number 5 jerseys in the stands, and people that wanted to go and be part of that and say goodbye to the guy that was the face of your franchise for 7.5 years. I thought it was, again, the booing every time he touched the ball, absolutely loved it. And it clearly got into his head. He made the point after the game, like, look, like he told Sean Cunningham, I haven't been able to shoot for 2 weeks. Like I haven't hit a shot for 2 weeks. So like, it didn't affect me. It did. But I also thought, like, watching De'Aaron he was all smiles. Like he thanked the crowd. The crowd was cheering for him during the tribute. After the game, he went over and hugged his teammates. I thought it was overall a very, very good send off for a guy who, holds a whole bunch of your records.
Yeah. And the bigger deal from the Kings perspective is they took care of business, which was something I was a little concerned about. Like, oh man, do the emotions of the night get to them? Like, what is, but no, they just went out there and they just handled it. I was happy with the way that game went. It was funny. I was sitting next to, I got put in Narnia. Usually I get to sit next to James in the press area. I got kicked down a ways. A lot of media there, a lot of people there to cover the De'Aaron Fox return. So I was sitting next to my good friend Chris Peterman, and it was I had stuff to do at home. It was Friday night. I got an hour plus drive home. So I'm like, all right, am I going to stick around to the end? Because if I stick around to the end, then I got to go to pressers and I got to do all that. It's like, oh, God, okay. So I'm going, okay, I'm going to leave after 3. This game's in control. It's like, this is when they were up 27. And I went, all right, what's this number got to get down to for me to have to stay the fourth quarter? And we agreed that 13 was the right number. And it got real close for a second.
Mm-hmm.
But they got it back to 17 or 18 by the end of the quarter. So I was like, all right, I'm out. I'm going to head home. Before I could get from Golden 1, and now keep in mind, there's an exit right behind the press area. I walk across the concourse, straight out the door. I hang a left, I go down to the parking garage. By the time I got to my car, it was a 12-point game. And I'm like, oh no. I'm going to have to go in on Monday and say that this is my fault because I left early.
Yeah.
By the time I changed my shoes, I have driving shoes. I have Crocs. What do you want from me? By the time I changed my shoes, put my backpack in the back seat, closed my trunk, and got in the car, it was back to 18. Like, great. Perfect. Couple of quick 3-point plays, and the Kings were in control against a bad team, and they were in control all night.
No, they were, and that's how you were supposed to handle the San Antonio Spurs. And that's why, again, when we look at the games over the last week, you beat every team that you were just supposed to beat, that you're just way better than. You lost to the one team that's way better than you, and the 50-50 coin lost in overtime on a last-second shot.
Can we run through from Friday night this awful video of Scalabrine after the game from
Okay.
our friends at Fox 40?
Okay.
So Sean Cunningham, Fox 40 Sean Cunningham, Kings Beat Podcast, subscribe wherever you get your pods, posted a video of De'Aaron Fox greeting all his teammates after the game. This is what I latched onto, though. We're going to watch here as Scalabrine, okay, he's right here, comes into the screen. So that's one. De'Aaron just dapped up, was that
Jay Crowder?
Okay,
Yep.
So De'Aaron daps up Jay Crowder. That's one. Scalabrine is now like next. He's behind Jay Crowder. He's like, I'm next in line. Nope. Got to dap up. I don't know who this is.
Oh, that's one of the training staff.
Yeah, one of the training staff. De'Aaron's got a whole handshake with him. So De'Aaron Fox does a whole handshake. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Good to see you. Scal's like, I'm next. Nope. Malik Monk is now coming in. And De'Aaron's got something to say to Malik. They got their whole little handshake. That's great. Love that. Scal thinks he's in. Look at him. He's standing here. It's like, it's me, De'Aaron. Once he's done talking to Malik, I'm next. And I want everybody to also pay attention to Isaiah Crawford here as well, because Isaiah Crawford's got the right idea. So Scal waiting. Oh, nope. Isaac Jones gets in there. Isaac Jones just dove in, cut ahead of Scal. Waiting. Now he's still talking to Malik. Isaiah Crawford now just reaches out, taps De'Aaron. He's out. He's done waiting. Nice job. Nice job, Isaiah Crawford. All right. Scal thinks he's in now. Scal's like, bet. Isaac Jones, Isaiah Crawford, and now, nope. Rando. This guy came out of the third row. This guy.
I think that's Ricky voice.
No, I disagree. I refuse to believe that. That is guy who 38 minutes ago was buying popcorn. All right, so he has to hug De'Aaron. Scal's like, yeah, look how dejected Scal is after this. Scal's looking around. He's like, anyone else? Is it my turn? All right, it's my turn. Nope.
Rod Williams.
Nope. Oh, awkward. This is tough. This is really tough. This hug, that was not a good hug. Talking to Malik while hugging Domas, never looks at Domas.
Yeah.
Oh, that's tough. That's a bad beat. Scal now is like, oh man, Domas, that's a bad look. Sorry, man. Oh, now Keon's getting it in here. Scal's now behind Keon. And now, oh no. He's trying to get in there.
No.
This is where, because here comes Luke Laux.
And we all know how close they are.
They're tight. This is the tough part for me. Scal putting his hand on him and being like, I need to get in here. Now watch this. Scal's got the hand on him while he's talking to Keon. And nope, it's Luke Laux time. And now finally, there we go. Congratulations to Scalabrine. He got the tap he was looking for. I watched that video 39 times.
Two-time teammate,
I was
Scalabrine.
enthralled by Scal's quest to get the dap. I was rooting for it. It was like game 7 at my house.
Come on, buddy.
Like, get there, Scal. Come on.
Come on, little fella.
Come on, Scal. And he did it. Shout out to Scal, who got a better hug than Domas did. That's James. I'm Kyle. Joe Brazil is going to send us to break here on ESPN 1320 at Sacramento Sports Center. That Domas hug was...
Tough.
that video. I cut this right when Scal walks into the screen. Like you can see, he is bang. He's right there. This video is 38 seconds long, and I cut it right after his dab. Here's the dab and hug, and he's gone. 38 seconds. Scal wandered the wilderness, getting cut in front of by training staff Isaac Jones. I have all the respect. Isaiah Crawford just doing the right thing. He's like, you know what? I know where I'm at in this pecking order. See ya.
Yeah,
He's
but
gone.
you got to remember they played together for a long time. Scal,
Yeah.
Kentucky,
No, I know that.
Kentucky kid.
Yeah. Oh my God, this is. Oh no. Oh dear. I don't have this up in the.
One of my other favorite moments is, yeah, that's awkward.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Hey, don't ask. Oh man. Oh God.
I was recording Fox and Keegan Murray having a conversation, and then it was time to light the beam, and Jonas Valanciunas he doesn't want to do the interview process at all. He just tells Scott Moak, no, I got things to do. Let's go light the beam now. Like, it's absolutely
He's
hilarious.
trying to get to bed.
Yeah. His family was there. I did see his family.
Oh, nice. That's really cool. Salute. Dude, totally.
Oh, Justin Fields.
Oh.
Signing with the Jets for 2 years and $40 million.
Oh, nice job. Shout out to Justin Fields. Oh, this was
Wow.
my other favorite part of the night. I went to go I went to take out my phone to video the De'Aaron Fox intro.
Mhm.
And I took out my phone and I went to say something to Chris, and he already had his phone up, and then I looked past Chris, and this is what I saw. I don't know if you can see in there, but this is just all. Oh, what the? That's weird.
All the media.
All the media. Phone. Chris has got his phone. Phone.
I'm over there.
James is over here.
I want to make sure, like, one of the reasons why you were over there is because Spanish radio shows up like 3 times a year. Well, it's usually a couple more than that, but for 3 teams. I think Spanish radio, there's a Spanish broadcast for the Rockets, the Spurs, and I believe the Heat.
Mhm.
And when that happens, we get pushed down 2 or 3 chairs.
Damian
Yep.
Barley.
Damian Barley.
Now that I've
Darius
completely
Slay is signing with the
lost
Steelers.
this.
Ooh.
Darius Slay's a good player. What? I'm told the 49ers and the Chargers have been in conversation with Jameis Winston. Yes.
Wait, who are?
The 49ers and the Chargers.
Oh my gosh.
Brock Purdy backup plan, baby.
Oof.
Well, it seems to have worked for Sam Darnold.
Yeah, good for him.
Did he sign today?
Yeah.
With-
Seattle, 3 years,
Oh, he
55
did sign with
guaranteed.
Seattle.
110.5 is what.
That's a 2-year deal, 2-year, $55 million deal for Sam Darnold. Probably.
55 in total?
100.5 total.
55 guaranteed.
Yeah. Justin Fields, 2 and 40 with the Jets, 30 guaranteed.
Good for him. That's
Yeah.
a good deal for him.
Now, back to the Insiders with James Ham and Kyle Madsen, brought to you by Jiffy Lube on ESPN 1320.
I'm Kyle. He's James. Joe Brazil's here. Damian Barling's here because it's time for the handoff. The D-Lo and Casey there coming up at noon. Where do you?
Yeah, I can press the button. I thought she was going to run the intro.
Oh, you want to run?
No,
the
you don't
intro?
have to.
Okay,
I was just waiting for it.
It's
No.
fine. Okay, here we go.
It's time now for the handoff. Taking the handoff from James and Kyle today, here's D-Lo, Damian Barling.
I feel better.
Yeah. Damian Barling in the building. Kings lose to the Clippers, 111-110 last night. we were trying to figure out what to label this, because that was a gutting loss.
Yeah.
But to James' point, they lost to a team that's about on the same level as them, and Kawhi Leonard's shot bounced into the hoop instead of taking a bounce out of the hoop.
Mm-hmm.
So it's
Yeah,
like it's not a bad loss.
Yeah.
Like, I don't want to call it bad loss, but it's something more than just a loss.
It's a painful loss.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of the feelings about it could, maybe fall into place more tonight. Because if you got kind of a desperate New York Knicks team that's lost 3 in a row, has played a couple of, they're going to play a while now without, their star Jalen Brunson, but still a more than capable basketball team. But I think we'll look back at last night's loss and feel way worse if they lose tonight. And if they win, it's like, all right, that was a tough loss against Los Angeles, but you bounce back.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought yesterday, we'll talk about this as the day progresses, but going into last night's game, I needed them to win 2 or 3, with the idea you beat either the Clippers or Warriors. Losing to both of them would be really tough.
Yeah.
You lose to the Clippers and Warriors, especially with what you're trying to accomplish. That would be really tough. All right, you drop 1 to the Clippers. You better be prepared to fight tonight, because the Knicks are going to fight.
Mm-hmm.
And then, you go out there against the Warriors later on in the week. So right now it sucks. Like it's just a painful loss. The Denver one was tough because you felt like you had it. They played well enough to win that game. They let it slip away in the fourth quarter. They had a 7-point lead with 1:48 left, and
got to close it out.
They couldn't close it out. You had that overturned DeMar DeRozan 3. Couldn't score again in regulation. Still put yourself in position to win in overtime, and then Kawhi does what he's capable of doing.
I felt like that ball bounced on the rim. It wasn't
felt like Philadelphia.
It did. I know it wasn't.
Yeah.
But man, in the moment,
it was up there forever.
Oh, that was brutal.
It was up there forever.
Especially the first bounce, it was like, oh, that's out. And then nope, won it in.
Yeah, like the way I look at it, like, again, they've beat a bunch of bad teams the way that you're supposed to beat bad teams, right? You lost to a good Denver Nuggets team, and they beat you. Like, sure, you had a lead, you could have won that game, but still, they're the better team in that matchup. And this was a coin flip game, and you took them to overtime and at their building, and you lost in overtime by 1 on a crazy bounce. I mean, it's kind of how this season is, but that's what really a good team does. They beat bad teams convincingly. They, sometimes lose to better teams. And then in 50-50 games, you hope that they come up with a win, but the ball bounced the wrong way.
It's tough. Like you just really can't, evaluate the impact of that win today or the impact of that loss today.
Yeah.
You can measure the pain in the loss.
Yeah, that's
today.
it. That's it.
Yeah, but the impact of that game won't be felt for a few weeks.
It feels,
and it could be everything. It could be nothing.
Yeah.
Or it just could be a part of, like, there's a million different things it could be, but we won't know that, for a while. And shoot, we might know something, Wednesday night. Or is it Wednesday? Yeah, Wednesday.
Thursday against
is it
the Warriors.
Thursday? Yeah, like you drop that one, that stings.
But to your point, if you go win tonight, now all of a sudden it's all right.
You're right back.
You're back.
Yep. You're right. You're right back where you started from, and it's like, all right, you got to win against the Knicks. The tough part is the Warriors have the Blazers tonight,
and
I think the Clippers have the Pelicans tomorrow. That's when you look at these teams with 29 losses, 28 losses, I think that's where the Warriors are. That's who they have coming up. You've got the Knicks, injured Knicks team, but you've got the Knicks.
Yeah, they're going to be tough.
You got to find a way to bounce back 24 hours later. Shake an overtime loss at the buzzer and get out there in front of your home fans and see if they can carry you a little bit.
I'm so much more confident now that they can do that, though.
Sure.
Like
yeah.
It used to be my thought going into a game like tonight would be like, uh-oh. And now it's still uh-oh. Like the Knicks are still a tough matchup, but I'm way less worried about they're not going to play hard or they're going to get rolled. I don't necessarily think that's the case.
I thought that the way that you lose to have all of your starters playing, except for one playing 44 minutes or whatever, 42 for Valanciunas, but like 44, 47, whatever it was for Keegan and for DeMar and for Levine. That's not great. Doug went all in for that win. That's what that is. You're like, okay, we're gonna cut down the rotation. We're gonna try to get this win no matter what, and then we'll fly home and whatever happens tomorrow night happens. But you didn't get the win, and so it could set you up to not just lose one, but to lose two, because you had to put it all out there and then get on a plane at midnight and fly home and not get home until 2:00 in the morning and not have I bring that up because these guys have such a ritual. They get in a cold tub. They're in a cold tub for an hour or whatever.
Yeah.
Their body maintenance.
Goodness gracious.
Well, they're in a cold tub for
terrible.
a long time, but their recovery and all that stuff is very set when they're at home. When they're on the road and they have a back-to-back, it gets totally disrupted. So it's not just that you played all those minutes. It's you also didn't have your standard
no
cool
shoot
down.
around, nap
no shoot,
schedules are different. Like everything will be a little bit different for those guys today. Though, do they still they don't go into the arena at all? The second night of a back-to-back, do they?
No,
there's no film, there's no nothing at all this morning.
No, they got the morning off.
I almost feel like that's better though.
Not doing it. Yeah, sure.
Yeah, you don't have a
Sure.
whole day to
It's-
figure it out and overthink it. It's like, nope, you got to get back. You got to go win tonight now. The urgency just is immediate.
Sure, I hear you, and it obviously it helps that it's at home, or at least you hope that it helps that it's at home.
Yeah, fingers crossed. My least favorite thing, shifting gears real quick because we got NFL stuff happening. My least favorite thing has been the dramatic overreaction to every single thing that's happening in free agency right now. Why isn't my team doing anything? Because
that's free agency
just
every
started.
year.
Oh my
that's
God,
fine. That's free agency.
Oh, my
come on,
God.
have some fun. That's just the way it is. Oh, I mean, Kings fans do that every year. Normally they're right. They were not doing anything, but still,
that's a good
still. Yeah, that's just being a fan. There's nothing wrong with that.
Man.
Loosen up.
No, I won't. I'm gonna be mad about it.
How do we feel about Justin Fields and the Jets and Sam Darnold and the Seahawks and Geno Smith and the Raiders? And
I love the Geno Smith to the Raiders move.
you do?
Yes.
Okay.
They needed a quarterback.
They
like
they
a
did.
quarterback that but not even a rookie. Like a quarterback that can hoop, that can play in the NFL, and that can get you to 8, 9, 10 wins.
Legitimate starter.
Yeah, legitimate, like bona fide NFL starter. I love that for the Raiders.
Okay.
Yeah, Justin Fields to the Jets. What did we say is 2 years, 40 with 30 guaranteed? Yeah, sure. Why not? And Darnold to the Seahawks. I think that's going to come out to like a 2-year, $55 million deal.
Mhm.
Which, like, yeah, man, 20. What is that? 27 and a half.
Do you think it would be higher?
Yeah.
Yeah, so did
Yeah,
I.
I thought he would. Yeah,
I'm glad that's not just me.
I thought he'd be
it
more
would
in the 40 range.
Yeah, so did I. That's
I
I
did
did
at
too.
300. That's what I thought he would get. Right around that.
You thought he'd get what?
A 3-year, $100 million.
Oh, God, yeah.
I heard
that's
300.
basically
I was
what
like,
he got.
woo.
It's like, wait,
Lord.
if we over to Josh Allen now? But yeah, man, no, it's like what I would love to know is I want to go to the universe where he hits free agency without those last 2 games. Because I really think that impacted the thinking on him, where he gets into that game against the Lions at the end of the year and is awful, and then gets into a playoff game against the Rams and is awful. I think that there's a lot of people who had preconceived notions on Sam Darnold where he does that and they went, oh yeah, see, he's not reformed. He's not actually that dude. He got into a big spot and reverted back to the player we all know he is.
I hear you.
That's kind of what I think happened.
Yeah, I mean, Lamar's had bad playoff games too.
Yeah.
I mean, it's
But-
like,
but
I mean,
Sam Darnold was
Patrick
pretty good.
Mahomes
He
has
hasn't-
crapped the bed on 2 Super Bowls.
Yeah.
I mean, I
He's
mean,
also won 3 of them.
No, I understand. Patrick Mahomes is different.
Yeah.
Lamar, Lamar's a
Sam
he's a
Darnold doesn't 2.5
time MVP, not another 3-time MVP.
He doesn't get the benefit of the doubt.
That's right. That's exactly what I was going to say. He doesn't get the benefit of the doubt.
Yeah.
And so Yeah, that was a tough. I felt bad. Like that's a tough way. He had a really good season. I think Sam Darnold is a far better quarterback than anything we saw in New York. I hate that Justin Fields wound up with the Jets, but I really hate it. But
It's tough.
I don't know that Justin Fields is a good quarterback. I really don't. I wanted to believe that he was, but I really hate that he wound up with that franchise.
Yeah.
That franchise is death
It's
at that position.
so bad. What do you guys got coming up on D-Lo?
A lot of reaction to the game last night, not just the game last night, but the games this weekend. And then we'll follow free agency. You know, Myles Garrett, Josh Allen, all of that stuff.
Can't wait. D-Lo and KC coming up next. That's James Ham. I'm Kyle Madsen. Joe Brazil. Appreciate you. We are sponsored by Jiffy Lube, and we're back tomorrow at 10 a.m. Until then, drink water. Be nice, people. Bye.